So, realistically speaking, about $100,000, do you really think this is something that Bitcoin can reach to in the short term?
Past performance does not indicate future results, which means that when you're looking at the charts, you're looking at only history.
Hello, everyone, to yet another episode of Voice of Web3. I hope you all are feeling bullish. Bitcoin in 2023 is already up to 124%. The price seems to be moving towards $15,000. And this is a perfect time to, being bullish and as well as to kind of assess our risks again, that how far we all need to be bullish. So, to answer our queries today around Bitcoin, to get into depth about technical details, to understand that what sort of a portfolio as an investor you should have right now, whether you should have DeFi, NFT, what sort of coins you should have there, we have somebody very special for you today. So, I'm sure you already know about this guest today, but just to introduce him, our guest for today is Mr. Mati Greenspan. Mr. Mati Greenspan is founder for Quantum Economics. He is also a certified analyst. He's also a certified broker when it comes to trading. And he has been into cryptocurrencies for now almost 8 to 10 years. And when it comes to technical analysis, Matty is as good as they come. His technical analysis, his predictions have been top notch so far in the industry. And today, we would like to welcome him on the podium and answer our questions about Bitcoin. Hey, Matty, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sunil. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well. And what a time to be in crypto.
Yeah, it's a good time in the market right now, if not in the economy.
Yeah. And that's why, we got so many of these questions that, is beer run already over? Is it a good time to invest again in cryptocurrencies? What should we be looking at when it comes to cryptocurrencies? Is it only Bitcoin? Is it only Ethereum, or should we actually be looking to other altcoins, other opportunities as well in the market? And we thought that you are the perfect person, when it comes to analyzing a cryptocurrency portfolio, when it comes to getting ahead of the market and giving us insights that, hey guys, this is something that we should be doing right now. So welcome again, and I think we can start right off, right?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm happy to discuss the markets and answer any questions you got.
So the first and foremost, this $100,000 Bitcoin price, that has kind of become a golden number, that everybody wants to Bitcoin just reach there as soon as possible. The whole FOMO that is now getting into the industry. So, realistically speaking, about $100,000, do you really think this is something that Bitcoin can reach to in the short term, or do you see at least 1 to 2 years before we reach realistically to $100,000?
Yeah, that's a great question, and predicting the future is not really my thing. I mean, I like to look at the charts and stuff, and I'm happy to share what I'm watching. But of course, it comes with a disclaimer, as you mentioned, that you've got a financial license, and anytime we say anything about the charts, you have to say the words "past performance does not indicate future results," which means that when you're looking at the charts, you're looking at only history, and it's not possible to tell the future. And then, speaking of history, I mean, this is Bitcoin's price. We can see, the 2017 bull run over here, and then the 2021, 22 bull run over here, also known as the DeFi summer. And actually, what we can see is from the beginning of this year, 2023, we've actually been quite bullish. January was one of the best months that Bitcoin ever had. The price was up some 50% just starting out the year. And people still thought, at that time that we were in a bear market. But if we want to just kind of draw some lines on the chart, right, just to get some grounding and some baselines, we can see some valid support, rising support levels, and then a rising level of resistance. This kind of resistance, I believe, It depends on how you draw your lines, of course, but we can see very clearly that there is a rising channel or a rising trend when it comes to Bitcoin from the beginning of the year. And right now we're near the top of that. I believe that 38,000 level is extremely significant. And we can see that it actually did puncture that level a few days back, but it came back into this channel. So now we're going to see what we really need here is a strong breakout of that 38,000 level. And if we do see that above 40,000, I think that's when you start to see headlines, from CNBC and Bloomberg, and you see a lot more interest coming back into the market. But short of that, I think that even if it does come down a little bit and it retraces back down to 30,000 or 29,000, I mean, that still could be seen as within this rising trend level. So short term, whenever you get to more short term trading, it gets more and more difficult to predict what's going to happen. That's why long term investors are generally the ones who make more consistent gains. And I can tell you flat out, according to Bitcoin's fundamentals by design, it is intended, as Satoshi Nakamoto implemented the 21 million hard cap. It is designed to go up in value over time, which is the complete opposite of fiat currencies, which are specifically designed to decrease in value over time via inflation and other forms of taxation.
So, Mati, I know that you are very heavily interested into altcoins as well, right? So, other than Ethereum, if we talk about altcoins, do you see any other technically very strong altcoin in the market right now, or a list of altcoins, which you think are following Bitcoin very closely, and they may even, surpass Bitcoin in the coming days?
But surpassing Bitcoin is quite a challenge. I think the Bitcoin is the 500-pound gorilla in the room, and I think that we can even look at the Bitcoin dominance index. I think that we're talking about 52%. Bitcoin is 52% of the whole market, whereas no other coins really come close to that. I have been watching many altcoins lately, including Near and Polygon, Solana, even XRP, and I think that a lot of these altcoins have been gaining in volumes lately. Though I think that people, right now, Bitcoin transaction fees are very high, and I think that a lot of that has to do with Bitcoin ordinals, which are being minted quite on quite a steady rate. And we can even take a look at, let's say, the transaction fees. So I like to use bitinfocharts.com for that. You can see here we get to Bitcoin's market cap, and here average transaction fee on Bitcoin has been coming up lately a little bit over here. We saw it just a few weeks ago at around $20 a coin. So first of all, that's very profitable for miners. So I'm very happy that I'm involved in Bitcoin mining venture called Quantum Expeditions, which people can definitely come out and join the community. We're accepting investors as low as $100 at this time. I'd be very happy if you can share a link out for that as well. But one of the things that I think is really contributing to this, is those Bitcoin ordinals. I have a few Bitcoin frogs, which I bought very early on, and I'm happy to kind of share out. Or here's Quantum Expeditions. But Bitcoin ordinals we can see on Dune Analytics, right? Ordinal inscriptions are going up. There was a lull over here. I'm not really sure why that was during October, but that's over, and we're seeing again record high numbers of Bitcoin ordinals being inscribed on the Bitcoin blockchain. For those of you who don't know, ordinals are like NFTs that are inscribed on Bitcoin, and there's a largely growing movement for that. And then this is the amount of fees that have been paid to Bitcoin miners, right, during that time. So yeah, they are causing a bit more traffic on Bitcoin, which makes Bitcoin slower and more expensive, which is why some of these other coins that are easy to transact in might go through faster and might be a bit cheaper. Argentina, for example, quantum economics, we just completed a research paper, which is on our Medium right now. I'm happy if you can share a link for that as well, with in collaboration with Cryptoken, where we found that Bitcoin might be a good solution for them, even Lightning Network, just as in El Salvador. But because of Javier Milei's fascination with the U.S. dollar, and he will find it very hard to settle transactions directly in U.S. dollar, we believe that USDT might be a more viable option for them, whether that's USDT on Ethereum or other side chains as well. We believe could be a great option for Argentina, especially given their their plans to ditch the central bank and ditch the peso, which of course we wholeheartedly applaud.
So, Mati, I'm sure that you might have also been surprised with the recent the Binance news. Before that, of course, we had the FTX collapse, right? Before that, we had the Luna collapse. So, I mean, as an investor, does these things really take part when you are analyzing a token or a currency or a cryptocurrency, or is it something that you keep always out of your analysis? I mean, how are you analyzing the situation currently? I mean, the whole Binance, FTX, Luna, these kinds of negative sentiments in the market.
Yeah, so I believe that what we've been seeing is a cleansing period of that. I mean, we have the 4-year cycle, which has been held true since Bitcoin's creation, where 2013, was the early adopters. That's when I first heard of Bitcoin and acquired some myself. 2017 was a massive retail adoption. Right, that's when people were getting fed up with Wall Street, and the Occupy Wall Street movement was big. And then 2021, that's when the institutions really got involved. And I believe that in this next bull run, 24, 25, we're going to be seeing, even within the next few months, nation states who are adopting Bitcoin and adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. So, I mean, if you want to start, analyzing the various altcoins and looking at them at a granular level, I guess you can do that. It's not really my game. I have been, since I left eToro 4 years ago, 100% exposed to the market. And of course, it works out very well during the bull markets, and during the bear markets, as every other project, you gotta keep your head down and build. And good things come to those who are living in a world which is based in financial assets rather than in fiat money, which is not necessarily conducive to long-term strategy or wealth creation.
So, Matty, we talk a lot about this institutional buying, smart money coming into crypto. Is there actually some proof to this? I mean, in your analysis, are you really seeing institutional money buying Bitcoin, or is it just a FUD that we are hearing about? I mean, is there a proof for it?
That's a great question. I think that I wish I would have maybe prepared a little bit better for, to be perfectly honest. I'm not really looking at institutional funds and their flows and how they're doing and what they're doing. I know that BlackRock, for example, and several other large institutional players have been looking at Bitcoin and looking to approve a Bitcoin spot ETF. Mohamed El-Erian, who is one of my favorite economists in the entire world and always has been. I mean, this is a guy who, in an industry filled with filth, has been, a beacon of light as far as analyzing the markets from everything that I've seen, anyways. And he's recently called Bitcoin, a safe haven asset in times of turmoil, and he attributes Bitcoin's recent rises to some of the geopolitical turmoil that we've seen around the globe. So yeah, and I think that we've even seen institutions buying Chainlink, for example, right? The Chainlink Grayscale ETF is trading at a huge premium, which means that institutions are buying Link, right, at least more than through the Grayscale ETF, more than the Grayscale has to offer them. So that creates a premium there. But I do think that once the ETF is approved, we'll probably see a lot more institutional interest. But again, Sunil, I mean, what I'm looking at is bigger than institutional investors, right? And that was 2021. They're already involved, right? They weren't involved in 2017. They're involved now. They are certainly taking trades this way and that way, speculating on the market and taking long-term positions. But this next bull run, I believe, is going to be much bigger than institutions. We're talking about nation states, the ones who create money, the ones who create fiat money out of thin air are going to be in a race to take some of that phony money, because it's the same play as Michael Saylor's been playing for MicroStrategy, right? And I've done a few times as well. Is you borrow fake money in order to buy real money. So in this case, those nation states, they have the ability to print fake money in order to buy real money. And I believe they're going to be doing that at a massive and ridiculous scale starting within the next few months. El Salvador obviously being the first, and then Central African Republic following in their wake. Now, if Javier Milei from Argentina decides to go that route as well, I mean, Argentina is the 20th largest economy in the world. So that's not a small fish anymore. We're talking about larger nations. And one of the beautiful things is, that early adopters get rewarded, but even late adopters tend to do better. The way that Bitcoin has proliferated to date is that it's done so in a way where the poorer nations and the poorer people are able to get in before the big money, but the richer people and the richer nations. And I think that's played out on a small level, and it's playing out on a larger level as well.
So, Matty, you have been experimenting a lot with various trends in crypto as well. You have been a part of GameFi, you have been part of Web3 gaming, you have been part of NFTs. So, right now, if we talk about the next bull run, then are there certain trends you see that will finally start picking up? I mean, have you highlighted a certain trends in crypto that you think will be a major force in the next bull run?
Yeah, I mean, NFTs as a technology, I think that people are missing what's happening here in a huge way. I mean, that has many different applications, whether it can be gaming or concert tickets or collector's items, or even as a token to access a website, or many other practical applications that people are coming up new with every day. And I think that we will discover even more as we go along. Some of them turn out to be, excellent investment opportunities. I bought some NFTs from Bicycle during the last bull run. I have a video of them on YouTube, so feel free to. I'll share the link with you after our conversation. Which, I mean, I believe they're one of ones that were actually produced by Bicycle in the NFT craze. So I believe that those, and then you have things like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, which are more, more classic. This is the invention of a new era. And then Bitcoin Frogs, I believe, will be the main go-to collection for to show that you're a Bitcoin OG, which is why I got a few of those when they first came out. But I believe that a lot of NFTs and ordinals and things like that might not last the test of time. I mean, they might just be predicated on the fact that we've got a strong community right now, and whether that community lasts or actually does something or builds something viable or valuable. I mean, that's going to be the ultimate test. I believe that DeFi will replace traditional finance completely within the next 5 or 10 years. The way that institutions invest these days, I mean, most of them have approximately 50%, sometimes even more, of their total portfolio in government bonds, which basically means they're lending money to the government. And I don't know if you're familiar with governments and how they operate. Governments are terrible with money because politicians are incentivized to borrow money and they're not incentivized to pay it back. So governments don't act like corporations, and they don't seek profits. Politicians seek their own political gain. So lending money to a government, I believe, is a very bad move on a long-term basis. It's worked out for many people over the course of history as governments were more aligned and incentivized to deliver long-term. Whereas now I don't believe that they are anymore, and I believe that U.S., for example, and China have levels of debt that are just completely unsustainable, and at some point is going to come crashing down. And I believe that time is sooner rather than later. But it is like kind of like predicting an earthquake, right? You know it's going to happen eventually, but you can't really tell the severity or the timing exactly. But when it does come when it does come crashing down, I believe DeFi is a much greater solution to that, because people have an ability to see where their money is at all times, and people have an ability to trust the code, and the code becomes much more free and fair way of investing and sustainable.
So, Matty, you may have come across the fears that Bitcoin maximalists have when it comes to the upcoming Bitcoin ETFs, right? So, while we are discussing the positives around the Bitcoin ETF, we can also hear the negatives around the Bitcoin ETF from the community, that they are afraid that it may centralize the supply of Bitcoin. It may actually lead to large scale manipulation of the Bitcoin price. So, I wanted to take your views on this. That do you also share the same fears, or do you really think that these fears are actually not applicable when it comes to realistic markets, world markets?
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find you figure out a situation where I think that in the long term it's not going to be an issue, right? In the short term, you could have situations that arise due to institutional investments in Bitcoin. However, the institutional investors at some point, they like ETFs for now because it's easy, because it fits their existing framework, right? They've got bylaws or compliance issues that they need to deal with, or even regulatory standards that they need to adhere to. So it fits their investment thesis at the moment. However, I would prefer to buy and hold Bitcoin for myself rather than ever going on to and trusting an exchange, whether it's a crypto exchange or a traditional assets exchange, or even if it's a regulated exchange. I mean, FTX had regulations out the wazoo, and they still, turned out to be a complete scam. So for myself, I would prefer to hold Bitcoin in self-custody. And I believe that there is a learning curve where institutional investors will also prefer to hold it in self-custody, but they're going to have to also, figure out how does that fit their existing investment thesis. So as there are different types of investment funds get exchanged and rolled over, I believe that they will they're more than likely to hold Bitcoin themselves rather than through any sort of paper money or paper Bitcoin. And with a spot Bitcoin ETF, depending on how they structure it, and if it's transparent enough, I think that it shouldn't really cause much of an issue, because if they're holding on a one-to-one basis their holdings, and that's verifiable on the blockchain, and they're producing these numbers, and they go, here's our wallets that we had, here's the number of Bitcoin that we've, the Bitcoin ETF that we produced, then you can look at it. But as soon as they start to obfuscate that, then I believe that people are going to question whether or not they actually have the Bitcoin to back up their paper. And if they do not, then people are going to want to hold Bitcoin itself as a hedge against that.
So, Matty, when it comes to the upcoming trends right now in the market, so every pundit in the market is right now predicting that RWAs are going to be a big thing. Blockchain games are going to be a big thing. So, particularly about RWAs, as an investor, I wanted to know from you that what is your position around them? I mean, do you really see yourself investing into these RWA tokens, which essentially are being claimed right now as a ownership tokenization? Do you really see yourself investing into something like this?
I've never heard of RWS token before, my friend. There's a lot of shit coins I've never heard of, honestly. Um, I couldn't tell you without having a proper look. I say the word shitcoin as a, by the way, not as a derogatory term. I say that as anything that's not Bitcoin is a shitcoin. So even that includes Ethereum. Even though I'm holding plenty of it, and Matic, even though I'm using that on a regular basis. But no, there's a lot of different tokens out there. I think thousands and thousands are produced every single day. So I've not heard of RWS before.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, Matty, this next question is actually for people who are yet to buy bitcoins or cryptocurrencies. We can consider them as a newbies in the crypto, right? So, right now, if Matty Greenspan were to create a portfolio of, let's say, $1,000, right? Then what would your portfolio look like? I mean, what would be its compositions if you were making $1,000 portfolio today?
You might be able to find out sooner than you think, Sunil. I'm involved in a project right now called MC Square Finance,
Yeah, I saw
which is
that. Yeah.
basically it's basically building the future of portfolio management on the blockchain, and it's
Amazing,
just
amazing.
just opening up right now um, for early users. So hopefully we'll have something to announce there pretty soon.
Awesome, awesome. So, Matty, you have been an entrepreneur yourself. I mean, we have been together. We saw you working at eToro, then you started quantum economics, then you started investing into multiple projects, and right now, as you just in this interview, you actually mentioned two of your own projects, right? One is into mining, one is into portfolio management. So, I mean, as somebody who is starting out into crypto world,
Not a
as
lot more.
somebody who has been working into traditional world for a lot of time, what kind of suggestions you have for them if somebody from traditional market is coming to crypto and they are starting out here now in this at this situation, so what would be your advice or suggestions to them if they're starting out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be different if it's somebody who's never really touched financial assets before, versus somebody who's well versed in how financial markets work. But I believe that there are several steps that you can take to always make money in the markets, and that's whether you're into traditional markets or cryptocurrencies, doesn't matter. Number one is diversify your portfolio, right? Diversifying your portfolio is a way to reduce risk, to reach the same amount of gains that you would otherwise. And it's mathematically proven to lower the amount of risk that you're taking. Number two is to do your own research, right? Always research. As much as you research, the better off you're going to be. Number three, do not use leverage in any instance. There's no need for it. If you're trading one currency against the other, for example, the Forex market, if you're trading the euro against the dollar, the movements are so small in the euro against the dollar on a daily basis that you might need 20 times leverage in order to make a profit for yourself if you're trading on a few $100s. In crypto, you don't need leverage. And what leverage does is it actually is it gives the user enough rope to hang himself. So that's my strong recommendation, is not to use leverage unless you're literally looking and trying to lose your money. Do not use leverage in this market. The gains are big enough where we see 100-time gains in a regular basis in this market. So there's just no need for that. And then as much as I can, provide value. As I'm working on several different projects, as we mentioned, and advising on different projects. For me, adding value is the best way to increase the gains in my portfolio. But for the average user, I would say, be part of a community, right? And when you're part of a community, you're adding value as well, right? So if you're part of, any cryptocurrency and an altcoin or whatever, be active, right? Be active in their Discord or Telegram or wherever it is the community is congregating, because that's going to give you a voice in which you can, stay in touch with what's happening in the protocol, any changes and things like that. So that's, very, following these steps, you should be able to, to join this market. But always, use small amounts, never invest more than you can afford to lose. And that's really the key.
Yeah. So, Matty, we see a lot of crypto promotions around, that 1000x gains, 1200x gains, right? These seem to be very much kind of, promoted on social media as well as other channels. This is a question to you now that if in case you have invested ever in such projects, I mean, so the normal people, the newbies, they get attracted to these things a lot and they fall into traps, they fall into scams, right? Do you think, I mean, through you, we would like to kind of, kind of provide awareness to our audience that are these things real or are these just, some people sitting behind the scenes and pumping the prices and then dumping them? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I'm glad that you brought it up because there are a lot of scams out there. I think that on a daily basis, I probably get more than 50 messages that are completely scams.
Mhm.
So far more scammers try to contact me regularly than legitimate people who are trying to build or do business, and weeding them out is I've turned it into a science for myself. But I think that for the large amount of people, I think that just checking your email or scrolling down your X feed or Instagram, you're gonna encounter a lot of scams, and you gotta realize that. And there's a few things that you can look out for. Number one is if somebody promises you returns, that is a red flag. Any traditional financial market, any market participant that's acting by the rules will never guarantee gains. If you are making an investment, you are taking a risk, which means that you might make money and you might lose money. Just as I was hesitant to tell you what Bitcoin's price is in the future because I simply don't know, nobody can tell you what your return on
Right.
investment is going to be as a matter of fact. There's always risks involved. So that's one huge red flag. If you're approached by anybody on a direct message, always be suspicious because that could be a scammer. Even if it's somebody that you know and love, like look at their profile sometimes. Look for the blue tick, but also look for the way it's spelled and the number of followers, right? If you get approached by somebody and you're like, is this really that person that's approaching me? Look and verify that it's the correct person that you're speaking with before you take that conversation to the next level, because more times than not, it will be a scammer. I've had people impersonating me all the time. I find people on Instagram. I don't even have an Instagram account, and people are sitting there with an Instagram account that's in my name and approaching people and trying to scam them on a regular basis. Don't download a PDF file if you don't know what's in it or you don't trust the person. Don't download anything off the internet um, that you don't know. Don't click on any links unless you know what it does, who's it from, and that you trust the source. Even applications on your phone or browser widgets, they can all be scams. So always do your research on these type of things and always be cautious. Just approach everything on the internet as a potential scam, and you'll be all right.
So, Matty, back at your journey in crypto. I mean, first of all, congratulations. From all of us, it has been a great success. You were and you are now a bigger inspiration for everyone in crypto. To be frank, right? I mean, looking back at your journey, do you see some of the things that you could have avoided, in a way? And I mean, were there any kind of red flags that you saw that others should be aware when they're actually trying to make a career in crypto?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. I think that everybody has to make mistakes in their own way, right? Nobody's perfect and nobody does everything always as they should. Um, I think that people in general, our purpose in life on this planet is to transform darkness into light and always do the best that we can to be a good person and to be as straightforward and honest as you can. And I think that that's one thing that I would say is extremely important, not just in investing. I think that following those principles will make you a more successful person. I've seen many people, or many times where people come out and scam somebody, or they might, do something that's dishonest, and it usually blows up in their face. So, being, having guiding principles is extremely helpful and conducive to long-term success.
So, Mati, as a last question, we would like to know a bit about the projects you're currently into. We would like to know that what you're currently working on, and also that if anyone who is interested into your projects, or who or she seeks consultants or advice from you, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, thanks a lot for asking. I mean, I would say, come visit quantumeconomics.io.
Mhm.
Is our website. Right on the homepage, you can sign up for free newsletter, which I'm writing personally. And then, if you want to see the projects that we're working on here, on the projects
Mhm.
page, Lunar Crush, I've been advising for nearly 4 years now. Wheelbits is a social network built on Web3. MC Square Finance, we mentioned already, is building the future of asset management on the blockchain. Poland DeFi, I'm advising. They're building trading competitions. Supremacy Games, a DeFi game. Litbit Finance, Soundwork, and then here's our in-house project, Quantum Expeditions, which I mentioned earlier. We have now a crowdfund page, which is set up at quantumexpeditions.com. And then Layered Cake Protocol is our DeFi arm, where we've acquired recently the Revolt Network, a DeFi aggregator, which we're building and rebranding as we speak. We're also involved in Bitcoin in Africa, as well as producing more content, building out as much as we can. And then, of course, you can see all the wonderful members of our team. Some of these people are even more talented than myself. And each one comes with a world of experience and knowledge, which I don't personally possess. And and of course are from different places in the world, and have talents that are, of course, conducive to building out crypto companies and doing advisory in the research work that we do on a regular basis.
So, Matthew, what's the best way to reach you?
Just drop me a DM, man. I'm on Twitter all day long. Just say, hey, I got my DMs open, and if you got anything to, you want to say, or anything you want to ask, I'm an open book.
Awesome, awesome. Matty, thanks a lot for your time. I know you're a busy person, and I understand you have other commitments in the day as well. But thanks a lot for your time. And I believe the information, the advice, the suggestions that you've shared on this podcast will help everyone a lot. And particularly, I really loved talking to you. I have always. And we are looking to connect with you again in the future.
I appreciate that so much, Sunil. Thanks for saying that. And feelings mutual. Seriously, I'm happy to speak anytime. So let's do this again soon.
Thank you.
I was told to stay on the recording until it uploads completely.
Yeah, I think 2 minutes it shall take, not more than that.
Okay.